So hello everyone, welcome to a special edition of COE News. I'm Victoria.
I'm Brenna.
And I'm Mehrdad Aliasgari.
So we'll be interviewing Dr. Aliasgari, and we just have a few questions for him, so stick around. So first question, just introduce yourself, your name, department, and your role.
Yeah, as I said, Mehrdad Aliasgari. I am the chair of Computer Engineering, Computer Science Department in College of Engineering.
What is it that a department chair can assist the students with?
Good question. When I was a student, actually, I didn't know what a department chair does. Or actually, I knew who the department chair was at that time, but I didn't know what they would exactly do. So universities are very structured organizations, right? There are hierarchical organizations, and everyone there's unit within a unit, and so departments are the smallest units, which is basically a collection of faculty experts in a specific area who focus on one major, and then the students who are trying to learn about that. And so a department will have students, faculty, and a staff who support it, and then because it's just one unit, they usually appoint someone. There's someone at the top of the unit, either called department head or department chair, who oversees the unit and makes sure that everything is functioning, can plan for the future, all the needs that the department might need in order to be successful, and goals that you need to have, and any immediate need or any issues or matters that they need to resolve. Generally, department chairs are in charge of managing the resources, and so for a department, resources, faculty, and classes and students. So the scheduling classes, assigning faculty to classes, overseeing the hiring and evaluation of faculty, and making sure that objectives of classes and the degrees are met. Assisting a lot in the assessment of the majors, right? Making sure that again the student learning objectives are followed through across the whole major from the beginning all the way to the end. They're also there to help problem solve anything that could arise, right? So they overall oversee and responsible for the whole unit, the department. And then they work in tandem with the help of the folks who are above them, right? So we talk about hierarchy. So that would be like a college dean and their staff. So the department chair works above and below, right? And facilitates the information flow, facilitates all the business and everything that the department needs to take care of.
So you're passionate about cybersecurity and promoting women in STEM. Can you talk a bit more about those two fields of interest?
Yeah, so cybersecurity, I actually had no idea what it was when I was a student. And when I was a student, I can tell you how I got into the major. When I was a student in high school, my scores were very good, and I got admitted into university, and I could choose any major I wanted to choose. So I went to my high school teacher and said, I like problem solving, I like puzzles and all of those things. So I'm going to study math. And then my teacher said, "Are you out of your mind? Mathematicians will only become teachers when they're poor, right?" Now I am a teacher now. So he told me go and study electrical engineering, and I had no idea what it was. And my family just wanted me to study something, and so I went to electrical engineering. I studied it, and over time I noticed that it's not really my passion. I really enjoyed like puzzles and solving things, and I thought that cybersecurity somehow, and I think I stumbled upon a book one time. I read it and I was like, this is a really cool thing, because what you're trying to do, you're trying to help protect cyber assets. Cyber assets could be information, it could be software, it could be hardware, it could be all sorts of the things, but you're trying to protect it from those who want to steal it, right? And we do that a lot in the normal day. When you go on an airplane and you're trying to go through the TSA, that's a security thing, right? They're trying to protect planes And so they put TSA there to be in charge of it. What you have to do is to put yourself in the shoes of the adversary or attacker, or we call it hacker, and say, okay, what would that person do? And I would try to follow their path. And then what I will try to do is to come up with ideas that would stop their path. And I was protecting myself from any breaches. And so it is really a field that there is no solution that could solve everything. It's just like you are given puzzles and you're trying to solve, and everything there's a unique puzzle, and it's like a never-ending challenge. And so it always keeps you busy and thinking, and it really requires you to be very creative because the issue is to think about things that you haven't already thought about. And that's the impossibility of it, right? Because otherwise you would have thought about it and taken care of it, right? But no, you have to put yourself in the shoes of someone else and think from the angles that you have never approached before. And so that got my attention. And so I read about it and I took a course. I was like, I fell in love with it. And I was too late in my major to switch. So I finished my electrical engineering major, and then for the graduate program, I applied to cybersecurity, and I guess the rest is history, right? And when I was studying it, I noticed that, you hear a lot in the news that, there's this incident, there's this hack, there's that. Part of it is because we don't have enough workforce experts in cybersecurity, or we don't have people who understand the basics of secure practices. And the issue is education. And so I thought that my job, because education was what really helped me, socially go up. And I thought, well, okay, it's my responsibility after I graduate to go back and teach. Right? And therefore, I end up being a teacher who my teacher didn't want me to become. But what you start seeing it in education, especially in domains like computer science and security, is that there is an imbalance in the way we're doing. For example, society is almost half women, half men. Universities are almost 60% women, 40% men. But when you come to computer science and cybersecurity, you notice that there's an imbalance. We are below 20% women and 18 some percent men. And you wonder, why is it like that? In fact, the person who studied computer engineering was my own sister, who was a few years ahead of me. And so I watched her going through this journey, and I was like, why there aren't enough like her go into this major? Because it's cool, it's interesting, it's fun, it's puzzle solving, it's creativity. So that has become like another passion for me, that not only I want to be an educator, but I want to be an educator who focuses on educating the folks who have been left behind, folks that we are not serving right now that we should be serving. That is like a necessity in my view for our society. If we want to have like an effective society, we need to open the doors for those who aren't coming. Part of that is to think about how we could create more welcoming environment for our students, that they feel like they belong to. This is like because colleges are like a home for you, for students. And if you feel like you belong here, you come and you enjoy and you have a good time and you succeed. And so that's what we need to do in order to attract and retain populations that we are leaving behind. In this particular case, women in in computer science, computer engineering, and cybersecurity. We need to think about what are the systematic changes, fundamental changes that we need to bring uh, in order to make sure that our education, our department that we talk about, is much more inclusive and much more welcoming to the groups that we are not serving.
If a student were interested in working in a CECS lab or doing research with a professor, how would they go about doing so?
So that's a great question. First of all, that's something that I think every student should do, going into research labs, because that's where you learn to actually put into practice what you have learned in classrooms, and you go beyond it. And to me, the education actually happens when you are working on a project. But we are fortunate enough that we have faculty who many of them are active in research. And they either have labs or they're like doing research, especially more our junior faculty who just finished their studies or finished their degrees. They're coming here. They're bringing new ways of problem solving, new areas, more interesting areas. What the industry really is looking for. The way I recommend for people to discover is a few different ways you could go. Obviously, you could take classes, and if there is a particular area, particular faculty that really strikes you, and it's like, for me, it was cybersecurity. For you, it could be machine learning, data science. For someone else, could be a different field. So approach the faculty and see if they're available. The other thing is that we do have a faculty directory with the name of all faculty and their expertise and what areas they are doing research. And so if you go to our website, you go to the CECS faculty, you can see they're all listed there. And just explore that. If there's someone you haven't met, but you read their bio and what they are doing in that homepage that they have, I say shoot them an email, right? You say, hey, I came across your profile and it looks like you are working in such and such area. I'm just interested to learn more. And our faculty are actively looking for talented students who are dedicated and passionate. Education is really all about knowledge discovery, right? So you only learn if you can actually discover something by yourself. And that's what the faculty really wants to do and see in their students. So when we see you discover something, that joy is what really brings us here and do our work, right? So we're definitely constantly looking for people who are passionate, who are dedicated, they want to go beyond the classrooms, they want to put the effort. And whenever someone contacts us and says, oh, I'm interested in your area, we get excited, right? So we say, hey, come over, let's see what your background is, and what problems you want to work on, what are your areas of interest, and maybe you can see one of the projects that I'm working on or coming up with a new project. So I would say don't be shy of contacting them and reaching out. Just look at their profile, even if you haven't taken a class with them.
Cool. Awesome. You hear that, everyone? Just ask the professor to research. They're willing to help you out.
They are.
Okay. So this one's a little more not like on the academic or professional side, but students want to know, what do you like to do in your free time? How do you spend your time outside of the classroom, outside of grading papers or assignments?
Well, this will sound cliche, but I do like working in the yard, planting, just working with things. I also enjoy like doing. I'm not a carpenter. I don't know anything about carpentry, but I enjoy working with wood because I see it as like another building. We were talking with Brenna, like building things, right? And so if I can see that, I can build a fence by myself. I never learned it, right? But I watch a lot of YouTube videos, and I'm very grateful to all the DIY YouTube videos. And so weekends, anytime is available, I try to get chore done around the house and maybe plan something, build something for it, and it's good because it takes away my mind from because during the week work hours, my mind is on the over functioning, right? And so it's good to just put it into rest and just think about something else that really doesn't involve you that much of thinking.
I can agree with that. Just getting like hands-on rather than working on like my computer all the time. Yeah, it's a nice break.
You need to give your eyes some rest
Yeah.
and look at like colors that are actually in the nature,
Yeah.
green or
Yeah, definitely.
Do you have any advice for students in CECS in general or in their classes?
I think if I'm understanding, people come to CECS or any major because they want to do something with that degree when they graduate. They hope that degree will help them climb up the social mobility ladder, right? You want to go and get a good job. Money is a big thing, right? And we want to have a comfortable life, right? So we study areas that we think has potentials for our success, right? When we graduate, computer engineering and computer science are like perfect examples. There's a lot of jobs. The workforce there's a lot of demand, not enough supply, and everyone needs computer scientists or computer engineers. But the way you could actually stand out in the crowd of all these applicants when you're trying to apply is to tell the potential employer that, look, you just didn't do classwork, but you went beyond the classwork, and that's where the research comes in. Okay, so if you want to put in your resume that I work with the faculty, I got this publication, we built this thing, we discovered this result, right? That we could talk about. We presented it. Like a publication tells you that you can think about the problem, you can do your homework and background research on it, and then you can come up with ideas to solve it, implement it, test it, write about it, and talk about it. That if you could do all of these, you're a full package to be hired as in any company, right? So just one research project demonstrates to everyone that you possess all these skills. So I recommend everyone to just go beyond, because everyone can do classroom. At the end of the day, we all hope that you all pass all of your classrooms. But the education really happens outside of the classroom, right? So classroom only teaches you the foundation, the basics, but it's really up to you to go and put those things into them and really work on them and do something about it. So your resume won't just say, graduate of CSULB. Your resume will say, okay, I did graduate from it, but while I was there, I did all these other projects. Okay, so that's what I recommend. And I recommend general to go beyond, even though like you're doing a class project, go beyond, contact the faculty. Maybe they can help you to give you an ideas and interesting ideas to extra project, extra work for you to do.
So now we want to know, how long have you been at CSULB? And well, you kind of touched on it. Did you always know that you were going to teach? I know your one teacher said like, no, don't teach, don't do
Yeah.
math. But do you think that throughout growing up and going through like your degree and all of that, do you think that you were always meant to teach?
No, so when I was little, I changed my mind so many times. I wanted to be an astronomer, and I wanted to be, then I thought like physics is good, then I liked philosophy. And by the time I was graduating, going to university, I told you, I thought, well, maybe I should do math. So you really don't know your interests as you're growing up. You're just exploring, and that's part of the journey of education at universities. Is at the beginning, you're trying to just figure out what really strikes you, right? What is something that you really enjoy and get a kick out of, like working on it, right? So that whole process, I never thought I would be a teacher, and my teacher told me not become a teacher. Therefore, that's why I'm here. I'm poor, right? But we are very rich in the sense of the satisfaction we get, right? So every time I see someone getting a job, which they all end up in computer science, they all end up making more than I do, and I have a PhD, right? But I get a little bit jealous, but I always say that is why I'm here. I want to see that progress, right? That the students go and get those good paying jobs. Every time someone achieves that, it is really a point for us to celebrate, right? And that joy and that satisfaction we get is really what drives us to do all the work we are doing. So yeah, the short answer is that no, I didn't know, but I think I really enjoy the education, and we do need more educators, especially in cybersecurity, machine learning. These areas are the areas that are really in demand. And partly what you don't see enough educators is because everyone goes to industry, right? So some of us will have to make the sacrifice and come back to academia, right? So I graduated 2013. I came here 2013. I graduated from Notre Dame, so go Irish. And yeah, so since fall of 2013, I've been a department chair since fall of 2019.
So we've been talking a lot about research. So do you personally do any research here, and in what do you do research on?
Yeah, so specifically in cybersecurity, I work on applied cryptography. So we apply the cryptographic tools. So what is cryptography? Crypto is like a word, a Greek word for like hiding, right? And so you're trying to, initially it was all about encryption and hide information. But obviously a lot more than that it involves. And so we apply crypto tools that are really like complex tools, and we apply them to a lot of real world projects. Everything comes with a cost. Every time you try to protect yourself, you have to pay fee. The system could be slower, the user experience could be impacted in a negative way. So there's always a cost associated. So there's always this idea of, okay, how can we make more progress, improvement, in terms of being more efficient with how we do things and what we do it. And also crypto involves a lot with privacy, which is another thing that I really like. And I have always been, and there's a lot in the news too. And I'm always concerned about it, information is the assets that the user has, right? But we are giving it away too easily, and then it's not really protected well. So how could we protect you use your fingerprints everywhere, but how can we make sure that no one can actually no one can grab this fingerprint and replicate it, right? So that in that area, that becomes biometric security is one of the areas I've worked. Also, other areas that we work is how we can apply non-traditional techniques in solving the same problem. So these days, there's a lot of machine learning and how we can apply the learning of data to combat various attacks. Could be data anomaly. How can we detect data anomaly where an attacker could manipulate the data so you will make the wrong decision, right? And then so how can we make sure that by looking at various patterns, we know if a data is a malicious data, we can actually label it and say, okay, that is not trustworthy. So these are some of the areas that we use. So how we can use various tools and techniques for data anomaly detection. We also work on with a lot of our students, and we have published mobile health applications. And we saw that a lot of the current existing, even from big name companies that they have mobile health applications, they are not really following what they should be following. So there's a lot of vulnerabilities in the way they do things, because sometimes in industry, they just want to get the product done. And they say, okay, I think about protection later. But the problem is that really is not a good approach, because you never think about it until you get hacked. And that's already too late. So you really need to think about that at the very beginning before you build your product. So we saw that happening, and we published that, and we reported to the units and organizations that, look, your system has all these vulnerabilities, go fix them. And I think that's a really good thing. Whether they take it or not is up to them, but it is a way of us at least trying to study what is already built. The students learn about pitfalls of building a solution. They learn what not to do, right? When they go out there and build their own thing, they learn some of the practices that they should avoid, and they learn about practices that they should stick to, right? So these are some of the areas we have. The way we do a lot of our research, we try to do collaboration. So we work with other faculties. So it's not just me as one faculty, but we involve a group of faculties. In our department, we do have a few research active faculty other than me in cybersecurity.
Okay, so we're just going to do a series of rapid fire questions.
Okay.
So you either pick one or the other, or both, if that's what you prefer. Yeah.
Which one I like more?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so coffee or tea?
Tea.
Okay, morning or night?
Night.
Night. Indoors or outdoors?
Outdoors.
Outdoors. Dogs or cats?
None.
As a dog person? No.
Oh, sorry. How about birds?
Birds, yeah, okay. Do you have any?
Milk chocolate or dark chocolate?
Definitely dark chocolate. No
Okay.
question there.
That's all you got? Yeah.
Lots of chocolate.
Yeah. Oh, sweet or salty?
Again, none, but if I have to, will be salty.
Salty?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
I have to rather spicy.
Spicy. Okay, yeah, I can get with that.
Breakfast, lunch, or dessert? Or breakfast, lunch, or dinner?
Lunch.
Lunch. Nice, nice. All right, I think I'm out of ideas.
Now you learn more about
Yeah.
it.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Aliasgari, for sitting with us and for answering our questions.
Absolutely.
We appreciate and admire all the work you've been doing for our students, and we want to continue seeing the success.
Thank
Thank
you so
you.
much. Thank you.
Awesome.